Do miracles happen? C.S. Lewis, in his 1947 book Miracles, proved, as best mankind could, that miracles do in fact happen. In this video, I will walk you through Lewis's meticulous philosophical reasoning that miracles can happen, do happen, and are happening right now. Miracles is one of Lewis's most challenging reads. Lewis begins this book by defining the term miracle. When something or someone from the supernatural world interferes with the natural world, we must first ask if the supernatural world exists. If it does not, we can call ourselves naturalists. We believe that the natural world is all that exists. If we do believe that a supernatural world exists, we might be called supernaturalists. We can begin by looking at our own human mind. Our mind perceives things like right and wrong, and can even be left for some time to do nothing but think. Thinking. The concept of thinking brushes us against our first incompatibility with naturalism. Lewis uses this analogy. If you plant a white fence post in the dirt, it will not be long before that fence post is black. If we devote our human brains to nature, the brain rots. Eventually, it will cease to bear any resemblance of what was once known as a brain. When we cause our brain to think, we are in fact doing something that is not natural. Dare I say, the act of thinking itself is supernatural. According to our earlier definition of miracles, the act of thinking is in itself a miracle. If the mind proves too ambiguous an example for this early in the video, then perhaps it would do us well to rewind to something more tangible: the human body. Here's Lewis's take on the human body from his 1960 book, The Four Loves. Ass is exquisitely right, because no one in his senses can either revere or hate a donkey. It is a useful, sturdy, lazy, obstinate, patient, lovable, and infuriating beast, deserving now a stick and now a carrot, both pathetically and absurdly beautiful. So, the body. Man's disagreement with his or her own body in many cases becomes a more significant issue than merely laughing at it. Severe dismay with one's body leads men to indulge in steroid use and leads women to starve themselves. If naturalism is true, man would have no reason to dislike his body. How can man dislike his body unless his natural self and his supernatural self disagreed about the body? Lewis tied this to the Christian doctrine of original sin in Genesis. Adam and Eve were naked and not ashamed, but because of sin, a disagreement arose between their supernatural and natural selves. The mind perceives what we refer to as morality, a sense that some things we ought to do and others we ought not to do. Naturalists have proposed two main theories to explain our sense of morality. One theory is that science gives us our sense of morality. As man evolved, he developed a sense for which actions contributed to his flourishing. This theory can be called some kind of objectivism. A second theory from naturalists is that our sense of morality is subjective. It arises from our emotions. This theory might be called emotivism. However, neither view is totally compatible with man's decisions about morality. Firstly, man knows that his actions are not always in line with his sense of morality. Otherwise, there would be no such thing as a regret. Yet man does do things that do not benefit his evolutionary flourishing. He sacrifices himself for others, defying objectivism. He does things that terrify him emotionally, defying emotivism. Man has a sense of morality that is not of the natural world. It must come from the supernatural. We have proven, as best one can with your own rational mind, that the supernatural world exists. The second criteria for the definition of a miracle is whether or not the supernatural world does actually influence the natural world. According to our study of the mind, the body, and morality, a miracle has already happened while you watched this video. The miracle of Mary becoming pregnant as a virgin is the same kind of miracle as when any other woman becomes pregnant. God causes a baby to grow. When Jesus feeds the 5,000, he multiplies a small amount of bread and fish into much bread and fish. This is the same kind of miracle that has happened every time wheat grows and fish reproduce. And that's how C.S. Lewis proved that miracles do happen. They have happened, and they're happening everywhere throughout your life.